The doors of your car will close automatically. Please keep your head and arms inside and remain seated at all times. And please, no smoking. Thank you.
Matterhorn Matt presents Matterhorn Mondays.
Hey there, Mountaineers! Welcome to episode 54 of Matterhorn Mondays. I'm your host, Matterhorn Matt.
And I'm Alex, the historian.
And today we got a great episode for you guys, really amazing episode. No guests today, just Alex and I. Kicking it old school, just Alex and I on this podcast, this Matterhorn Mondays podcast, episode 54 of this Matterhorn Mondays podcast. I said this before we started this recording. I'm very... Is drowsy the right word? Sleepy? Drowsy? I don't know what the right word is. I'm sleepy because of the allergy medicine I'm taking. So if I randomly, like, my face just, like, falls down and you hear a big thud, you guys will know what that... You guys will know. I just fell asleep. Just yell at me to wake me up. But yeah.
Yes, and if his face falls down while his head is still up, then we must be concerned.
Yeah, very concerned. I got a big glass of Snapple with me to try and keep me pushed through, get that sugar rush going. Excuse me. But yeah, let's get right into today's episode. It's gonna be a pretty short episode. We're pretty sure today, actually. Sam says to chug it. I would, but it's really cold. It's cold Snapple. It's chilled, as you might say. Been in the refrigerator with some ice. But, maybe once it cools down, or once it warms up a bit, I'll chug it later on in the stream. But, let's get right into today's weekly news. Not a lot of news, surprisingly. I felt like, I guess last week we didn't have a lot either, but all the links to all of these articles will be down in the description down below, in case you guys were wondering. But first bit of Disney news comes from dsmynewscast.com. The live-action Mulan reboot, I guess it's kind of reboot, is rumored to feature Mushu and other classic songs. Now this is kind of one of those live-action movies I've been wanting to keep my eye on, just because I remember a while back, I don't know if it was Disney that officially announced this or if it was just like a rumor, but it was alleged that the live-action Mulan reboot was not going to feature any of the original songs that were in the movie, and from this article, it sounds like this live-action movie is going to be straying a lot from the original animated feature. So let's see. Gong Li is playing a brand new villain, and she isn't the only character included. Donnie Yen plays a mentor role, and they're also changing the love interest, according to dsmynewscast.com. But yeah, so a brand new villain, Donnie Yen plays a mentor role, and they're also changing the love interest. So that's kind of, I don't know how this one's gonna go, just because it's deviating so much more from the source material. But I guess this is sort of what we wanted, right, from these live action reboots, to not just be like a shot for shot remake. This one's sort of going off its own, telling a new story, I guess you could say. But moving on to our second bit of Disney news. Filming has wrapped on the Jungle Cruise movie. For those of you who care about the new Jungle Cruise movie, filming is wrapped, so that means that it's entering post-production very shortly. And our last bit of Disney news, Coco-inspired Plaza de Familia returns to DCA. I don't know if you guys remember, last year they had this sort of same thing. I believe they had like a dance kind of thing, like a dance thing where they had the skeletons, and it's like not like a puppet, but like a marionette, kind of. Not.
That's a puppet.
Is that the same thing as a puppet? I'm just gonna say puppet. They had sort of like puppets where they control like the skeletons. The people were dancing. It was kind of cool. I didn't get to experience it, but it looked kind of cool. So for those of you interested in the Plaza de la Familia, spelled that wrong, or forgot a word in the news, but links to all this will be down in the description below. And before we get into today's topics, I feel like I should move this camera down a bit. Is that better? That's a little bit better. No, that's even worse. This has to be better. Oh, that's a lot better. Okay. Matterhorn Matt plays Just Dance on the Wii M. Yes. Before we get started, the link to this Mice Chat article that the screenshot is from is in the description. I sent this, or someone sent this, I think a couple weeks ago on the Discord, which for those of you guys who aren't in the Discord, link to our Discord is in the description down below, not on the live stream, but on the podcast itself when it goes up. It will be in the description below for those of you guys to join. But apparently the Pixar Fest wraps on the monorails are going to have to stay a little bit longer than anticipated, because apparently, I don't know how true any of this is, but apparently the wraps have damaged some of the paint on the monorails, which is why they can't be removed. Unless you guys want to see like janky monorails with chipped paint, or like ripped off sections of paint on the monorails. Personally, I wouldn't really want to see that. So I guess I'd rather them keep the wraps on. But yeah, this was sort of posted on the Discord a couple weeks ago, I believe. But Alex, right off the bat, what are your thoughts on the monorails getting their paint damaged from the wraps at Pixar, from the Pixar Fest?
You know what? What's funny was I knew it would happen. Mm-hmm. I just, like, as soon as I saw them put wraps on it, I'm like, you know, they can only put so many wraps on those monorails before the paint starts coming off. You know, and the next thing I know, this happens. Mm-hmm. And I mean, because ever since they've brought in the Mark 7 monorails, they put different wraps on them and stuff like that. Like, I think there was a, like, for the cars opening and stuff like that, they put like special wraps on there, mm-hmm. stuff like that. And it's just like, I think that, like, when you put multiple wraps on the same vehicle, you're bound to damage the paint. So yeah, they got what they deserved.
Yeah, they did get what they deserved. I'm trying to remember what everyone was saying in the Discord. I think they were saying that they'd have to have the monorails shipped somewhere out of state to get them repainted. I think that's what someone said. I don't really know how true that is. But yeah, so shame on Disney for doing this, getting what they deserve with these dumb wraps, overlays. It's supposed to be an overlay. It's supposed to be temporary. It's not supposed to hurt any of our precious monorails. But more problems arising from Pixar Fest. Yes, Mateo. Agreed. Even more problems. Where is this tab? Here we go. All right. And this is sort of the news I've been really interested in getting into. According to the Disney Parks blog, Earl of Sandwich is returning for a, quote, limited time, unquote, at the Downtown Disney District. So, as you can see, basically this title shows how much of a wrench the new hotel, how do I word this? You can see how much of a wrench has been thrown in the plans for the new hotel to be built in downtown Disney, because they are reopening Earl of Sandwich for a limited time. They're saying a limited time. We don't really know how long the limited time means, or if it's going to be limited time at all, if it will last forever. We don't know. That's sort of the crazy thing, because we were talking about when these businesses first closed and Disney first announced that the hotel was going to be put on hold. We were saying how sucky it would be to have worked at Earl of Sandwich or any of the other business locations they closed for the new hotel. That they probably would have gotten jobs at the new hotel, but now that the new hotel is being postponed, they're out of a job for until the new hotel gets built. So I guess this, for all of you Earl of Sandwich fans out there, I've never eaten there. I'm not really much of a sandwich guy. Subway, nah, not fam. I'll stick to that Whataburger. or any other burger place. But yeah, so this is really interesting news. I don't know how much you guys care about the Earl of Sandwich, but apparently it was a pretty popular eatery at Downtown Disney. But the quote from the Disney Parks blog, link is in the description, like I said. We are excited to announce, they're excited, like guys. We are excited to announce Earl of Sandwich will be opening in its original location for a limited time in downtown Disney District at the Disneyland Resort. The popular fast casual restaurant will be returning soon. It doesn't say when it will be returning is the thing. What do the comments say? Yes, hopefully the prices are still reasonable. How soon is soon? And how long is limited time? People are commenting. So yeah, that's kind of crazy. Like I said, Alex, what are your thoughts on Earl of Sandwich returning and the future? I guess this sort of all but confirms the future plans for the new hotel. But Alex, what are your thoughts on Earl of Sandwich returning?
I definitely think that it shows that it's probably going to be a while before they even return to the plans of building the new hotel. You know, like I was telling other people on Discord, I wouldn't be surprised if the Starbucks location reopened there too. Mm-hmm. The funny thing is, though, is like they say that the Earl of Sandwich will only be open for a limited time, which is funny because it's like, how do you hire people with the words of, yeah, you're going to have this job for, you know, an indeterminate amount of time. You know, like, would you like a job here? We don't know how long you'll have it, but you know, like, what do you say to people to hire them? You know, so they already had enough problems closing the place because I don't know if you remember, but when they were closing Earl of Sandwich, they had to promise people like different things so that way they'll actually stay till the day they closed. Because as you know, people want to get a job and move before the sandwich shop closes. So they were like promising all sorts of things like, oh, we'll give you extra pay and a bonus and whatever if you stay, you know. So it's just interesting that they'll have to go through all that again as soon as this hotel thing gets started, to which I'm wondering when, if at all, it will get started, you know, like has Disney just decided to give up on it? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to give up. I'm sure. I mean, I guess that's what we said about the Eastern Gateway. We didn't think they'd, like, flat out cancel the entire thing, but that's what they did. So I guess it's possible for them to just completely cancel this new hotel and, like, maybe draw up new plans in, like, the next year and a half or something. I don't know. It's all really crazy.
I had a theory about this new hotel because a lot of people were looking at the hotel and they're going, wow, it looks very unimaginative. It looks like boring looking. The architecture is really basic looking. And I was trying to figure out, like, why would it look like that? You know, this is a Disney hotel. They usually go, you know, they go through, you know, they just, what's the words I'm looking for? They spare no expense building their hotels, usually. And I'm looking at the architecture of the hotel and the way it looks, and it looks very cheap, like very cheaply built. Like, it looks like the architecture wasn't over the top, and, you know, it looks like the construction-wise and from a design standpoint, it looks like a rather cheap hotel to build. So I wonder if it's like Disney's heart wasn't all the way in it. You know? That's what I wonder.
What if... Bear with me on this, guys. What if the new hotel was all a conspiracy? What if they never planned on building the new hotel? I don't know where I'm going with this. One of you guys can continue on this conspiracy theory in the comments.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Like, what if Disney wanted to get rid of all those businesses, but didn't know how to end the contracts? And so they said, "Oh, we're building a new hotel," and then that's how they ended the contracts. And now Disney can do whatever they want with that land. And they and here's even more: And Disney, in order to show the what's the name of that place? The Rainforest Cafe, and to show the ESPN Zone, and to show the AMC Theater, to show all of them that they were serious. They asked Earl of Sandwich, the one place they didn't actually want to close. They asked Earl of Sandwich to close their doors temporarily, just to make it look like they were actually going to build this hotel, so that way all the other businesses would give up and then close their doors. And now Disney's like, aha, now we have what we want. We have our Earl of Sandwich, and the rest of the place is up to see, this is really crazy. I don't believe conspiracy theories. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. You know, like people telling me like, oh, that the aliens built New York City. I'm like, what? You know, like what's?
Wait, where did you hear that? I've never heard that conspiracy theory before.
I'm just making an example.
Oh,
you know, some of the really out there stuff that they have. You know, people have the weirdest conspiracy theories. Like, oh, like, you know, people sunk the Titanic on purpose.
Oh,
like,
I could go on for a long time about that, because my uncle legitimately believes that they sunk the Titanic on purpose. Not the original Titanic, but the Titanic's twin sister ship for the insurance money. I don't know what to say about that, because he's gone on for like a long time about how he passionately believes that the Titanic is still out there somewhere, and that the ship at the bottom of the ocean is like its sister ship, and they did it for the insurance money. What? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, there's like a sufficient amount of evidence for people to believe that maybe the Titanic isn't at the bottom of the ocean, but I mean, come on. They wouldn't just do that for the insurance money, would they? I mean, would
no.
they? But wink, wink, would they?
And look at the implications of what happened. So even if they got the insurance money of the cost of the build as well as the cost of the ship itself, okay, they had to deal with the bad PR that happened afterwards.
Yeah.
Of 2,000 people dying that led the company in financial ruin. You know, like what was the whole point then? You know. Yeah. So. Anyway,
we should have a whole segment just dedicated to talking crazy conspiracy theories, not just Disney ones, but like the Titanic. I'm sure there's others out there as well. Yeah.
Oh, there's some crazy Disney conspiracy theories. Like, oh my god,
really?
I just, you know, my sister's boyfriend, he loves conspiracy theories. I think he believes pretty much every one of them he hears. And he posts them all over Facebook, and I've had to stop replying to him because like some of the conspiracy theories that he believes just upset me so much.
Gosh, yeah. It's always on Facebook too. You see those crazy conspiracy theories being spread. It's never on Twitter or, I guess, sometimes Reddit, but it's all. From a sandwich store to the sinking of the Titanic, says Nate, in less than 30 seconds. I don't really know what this podcast is. I guess that's it for that segment. Maybe we can talk more conspiracy theories next week, or after we finish our main topic. I don't know. I do have a pretty lengthy late night tinkle to get to after we finish. It's split into 3 chapters, so I guess we can do a chapter each episode for the next 3 weeks by Andrew. So we'll see how that goes. But I guess moving on.
Did you read through it before you're gonna read it out loud?
Oh gosh, I didn't. I probably should have, but I'm looking it over right now. I don't want to read like the very end, but it's pretty lengthy, so I don't think someone would put in this amount of. Like, dedicate this amount of time to writing someone if it's just going to be like a meme. Sam wants me to link it to him. I guess I don't know if I can do that, actually. Excuse me. I'll try to link it to you, Sam, just so you can read it through for me really quick. I don't know if you'll be able to open it, but And
the next thing you know, Sam puts in the joke.
Sam
the thing that was going to be Yeah, it was going to be serious, but then Sam puts the joke in.
Mm-hmm. Sam would do that. All right, so moving on. There's almost 20 people watching. I'm so sorry. This is a crazy episode, guys. Crazy. I don't know if you guys have seen these couple images from the Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland. They removed the Monsters Inc. laugh floor signage. Yeah, like big signage, like bulky thing. I just wanted to see if you guys had seen this. If not, there you have it. But this sort of ties into our main topic, I suppose. Trying to help guest flow in the parks is what we're going to be talking about today. And there are also these images that I pulled from Twitter of a couple, I guess, like benches, seating areas removed from various spots in the Disneyland resort. As you can see, the thing with these, like, before and after pictures, if I see the after, I don't remember what it looked like before. Yeah. So I'm trying to picture what was there before, but I just can't. So I apologize.
I can help you.
Can you? Okay, I can't for the life of me. I can't remember what was here before.
Choose a picture.
Okay, let's start with the Tomorrowland. The Tomorrowland one first.
Okay, so the Tomorrowland one, imagine that there is this elongated diamond-shaped planter around the base of that support pylon, okay? And wrapped around that planter is a built-in bench, and it was all painted blue, and it was concrete. And that's what it was. It was a diamond-shaped planter.
Vaguely. I vaguely remember. Okay, I think I can picture it. I remember there being like seats there. But let's move on to the New Orleans Square one though, because this one has me completely puzzled. It's like a stump with two trash cans. I don't remember what was supposed to be there before.
Yeah, so what was there before, almost all the way up to that blue cart in the background, was a huge square planter with, I believe it was a tree. There was a tree in there, I think, and then there was a lot of like hedges and bushes and things, and yeah, and it was just a weird, random, big square, or rectangular, I should say, planter with surrounded by brick and stuff like that. So that's what it was, and then they reduced it completely down. I think like it's now like it's that little brick stump that you see is going to be for a lamp, I think, a street lamp. Okay. So
I can kind of picture this one now that you describe it, now that I finally get a full visualization of where this is in New Orleans Square. Yeah, so moving on to this one, I think this is outside the Haunted Mansion. I don't know.
Yes,
this could not even be in Disneyland for all I know. But this image, okay, what was here originally?
It's from Coney Island.
I knew it. The conspiracy thickens, guys.
Thickens. Okay, so what was here before was a planter that surrounded the whole fence that surrounded the mansion. So basically, the planter was only like 1.5 feet tall at most. It was very, very short. There were some like, they chose like specific themed plants, like kind of purplish leaves and things like that. And then there were green hedges. And then around the spot where there's these posts, there's brick posts that you see on the left and right of the screen. there were short little cypress trees that were right there, and they kind of they were like, they call them weeping cypress trees, kind of hunched over. Anyway, so there was that, and then basically all that area where you see dark brick, all that was under soil. So that's why the brick is so dark. Yeah, that's why the brick is so dark. So that's basically what was there, and it probably only jutted out maybe 3 feet from that wall. That's probably about it. But nevertheless, it was kind of nice to have some of that greenery there. But then Disney took that out in favor of widening the walkway, and then of course some of the strollers are parked up against the walls now. So now they have room for stroller parking, I guess. But yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I'm still trying to... I think I can piece together where this is in my mind. Okay. This last one in Frontierland. It's obviously in Frontierland, as you can tell by the architecture behind it. The Pioneer Mercantile Shop. I think that's what it's called. It's like you walk past these every time you visit the parks, but it never like registers like, oh, there's like a bench there, or like there's a planter there. You just like walk past it, and then you just don't think twice about it, and that's like what's happening with me right now. But yeah, I for the life of me, I don't know what was here before.
This one, I don't think I might be wrong. I don't think they're removing the planter on this one, because what this was a water fountain. It was the Frontierland water fountain.
Okay.
Yeah. So they might just be doing some repairs on that water fountain, because if I remember correctly, that had like almost no water pressure at all. They might be doing that, or they might be reducing the size of the planter and moving the water fountain back a couple of feet to give more space in the walkway. So they could be doing that, but it could just be that they're just fixing the water fountain now.
Okay. Like, I don't remember there being a water fountain there. I think I'm going crazy.
And it had like a horse's trough underneath them.
I'm trying to think.
It was like a wooden horse trough.
I'm trying for the life of me to think, but I just can't. I just can't for some reason. I'm gonna take your word for it, Alex, because I trust you.
I was totally thinking about adding some like extra stuff that didn't exist there. Just like oh yeah, don't you remember that tree that kind of hunched over and then like tickled people in the face? You know, there were maggots and things inside the fountain that kind of came up from the fountain. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So water fountain, and then planter, other planter, and then another planter. So I guess the theme of today's episode is improving guest flow in Disneyland Park. That's what we're going to be talking about.
One more thing.
Yes.
So what I noticed here is you don't have the photo of the most drastic change coming to the planter removals. Is the photograph of the planters around the hub.
I think I have the Mice Chat article, or a Mice Chat article open, and I'm just gonna drag this over to this tab, and I will show you all, because I think this is what Alex is talking about.
Yeah, because that picture is, in my opinion, of all the planters they've removed so far, this is the biggest one that I'm actually kind of against. So for those of you looking on the screen, whenever Matt finds there we go. There's these green fences that they've put up everywhere, all around the Adventureland and Frontierland moat and planter areas. And what they're doing there is, for those of you who don't know what was there before, basically just nice big planters with trees and lots of plants, and then there's a nice big moat that surrounds the entrance of Adventureland and Frontierland. And what they're doing there is they're going to reduce the size of all of that. They're going to take out the planters and reduce the size of the moat down to like a little trickling stream. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to try to create more hub space, kind of like what they did at Magic Kingdom Park when they took out all those planters and then they turned them into just more hub space for people to watch fireworks. Mm-hmm. So that's what they're doing here, is they're taking out a lot of that. That's some big acreage that they're taking out in order to make more standing space for the fireworks and things like that, and for the parade. Well, not that area is too far from the parade, but for the fireworks. And so it's just, to me, that's a big no-no. Like, small planters here and there, okay, I can get over it. But here they are seriously taking out some big space, some big greenery areas in Disneyland. And I think it'll just make the hub look much more concrete than it used to. I mean, this is just a bit much in my opinion. And like Mateo just added in the chat, he said they're adding like 5 to 10 feet of path space, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're adding about 5 to 10 feet of path space there. It's just, to me, it's sad, because what I really love is that moat. I really love that moat in front of Frontierland and all of that. Oh, I see you pulled up a map. If you zoom in on the left of the hub, you'll see the big moats in front of Frontierland. And they're basically going to take out about 5 to 10 feet of that unwalkable space and turn it into walkable space. Huh. And like I said, that just makes me so sad. Just makes me so sad.
Interesting. Now, when you say that, you mean that they're going to fill in part of the moat to add more walk space?
Yeah, so basically they're going to drain the moat, and then it's made of concrete, so they're going to, jackhammer it and then resize it so it's basically more of a stream rather than a lake, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. And then and if you zoom in a bit more, you can see the bridge over Frontierland, over the moat. That they're basically going to make the moat the same width as the bridge, but just through the planter, that same width. So then all that, and then all that extra space, they're going to fill it in. They might put a small planter surrounding the moat, and I mean a small planter surrounding the moat. And then the rest of it is a good 10 feet of just concrete that they're going to pave, so that way people can stand there during the fireworks. And if you stay right where you are on that image, you'll see in the middle of the moat is a tree on the left. It's kind of hovering over the moat. That's actually my favorite tree in the whole park, that tree. Because it literally leans over the moat, and they've had to support it with a little piece of metal to hold it up so it doesn't fall into the moat. And it's such a beautiful tree. And during the late winter time, it has pink flowers that come off of it. Huh. And I'm really hoping they don't touch that tree, because it's literally my favorite tree in the whole park.
Okay, so well, I personally did not read the Maestrat article. I had it open in the thought that we were gonna get to it, that someone was gonna bring something up. I was supposed to be prepared. I was supposed to be, but unfortunately, I was not prepared for as much as I'd like to be. I spilled chocolate on my shirt, guys. I made s'mores today, and I spilled chocolate on my favorite shirt, the shirt that I'm wearing. That doesn't have anything to do with what we were saying, but yeah. Anyways, so this is all sort of the casualty of Star Wars. I guess you could say of Star Wars invading Disneyland Resort. Because Disneyland is getting crowded. I was there 3-4 months ago almost. And it was pretty crowded when I was there. But I always loved this little pond area. With all like the ducks and the turtles. Hopefully they keep, I don't know, like a large portion of it. We'll see. But I guess you could say it's all for the better, because you don't really need. Sure, it looks nice. It looks great, but you don't really need all this area, this water area. It could be better used for what is it called, for pathways, for places for people to stand. The vlogs are coming. I've almost done editing the second episode of the vlog from when I'm in Disneyland. It will be out next week. Set deadline. Tuesday of next week is when it will be out. I promise you guys. But yeah. So like we said, this is all sort of the casualty of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge coming to the park, and I guess Alex already sort of gave his idea or his thoughts on all of this, but we did sort of come up with ways to, I guess, sort of ease crowd congestion in the parks. I wrote down 4 bullet points to sort of bring up on how to ease construction, or what am I saying, on how to ease guest flow in the parks. And Alex has his own ways. So excuse me. I guess I'll go first, since we're already here in the hub with the Google Maps. My first way on how to, I think we already did this topic in the past before, but this is completely brand new, because it's actually happening now. But where's my mouse? The first thing I would do to ease congestion in Disneyland Park is to get rid of these ugly rocks in front of Tomorrowland. And I know this is sort of the go-to one for everyone to say, but it really is one of the major problems in Disneyland, or at least in Tomorrowland, in my opinion. And I believe we also even reported on them actually getting rid of these rocks a while back, and I don't think any of that has sort of come to fruition just yet. I don't know. I don't remember if those were just rumors or if it was later down the line when they're gonna end up removing these. But yeah, if one of you guys can remember, definitely type in chat or in the comments or whatever. But yeah, so my first bit of easing congestion in the parks would be to get rid of these ugly rocks in front of Tomorrowland. It doesn't really fit the theme anymore of the Tomorrowland we have. I guess the Tomorrowland we have doesn't really have a theme. So I guess in the theme of not having a theme, it fits in the theme. So yeah, but
you see the set of rocks there at 10 o'clock?
At 10 o'clock, yes. I know.
All right, and they're right.
I bet you guys thought I wouldn't know what that means, but I do know what that means. I don't know what that. I do know what it means, but I can't picture the clock in my head. Let's see. So there's 12. I'm not gonna bother. I'm just gonna.
Okay, if you're looking at like a compass.
12 is north.
North.
Right.
Yeah, 12 is north. Right. And then if you look, let's see what would it be. Northwest.
Okay. Yes.
So you see the rocks there next to the squiggly path?
Mm-hmm.
That set of rocks is the hydraulic pump house for the Astro Orbiter. So if they tried to get rid of those rocks, they'd still have to hide the pump house somehow. So that set of rocks would still be in the way.
I think we brought this up as well when we talked about this in the past. I don't remember if we ever came up for a solution on how to hide that without getting rid of the rocks, or with getting rid of the rocks. I guess it all depends on what they choose to replace it with. If they do end up getting rid of these rocks, like I said, we did report on them planning on getting rid of the rocks, but nothing has sort of happened, I guess, in that note. But yeah, I remember always walking down the path from Fantasyland to Tomorrowland here, and then seeing like that little door and seeing people go into that door and wondering what the door led to. So that's pretty cool. If you guys didn't know, Alex said it's the pump house for the hydraulics for the Astro Orbiter. Anyways, Alex, you have your own list of things you do to improve Disneyland. I guess I should get rid of this map now. Let's see.
I was kind of thinking you could do your list first, because my list, everybody's going to hate for it. Like, honestly, like, no one's going to like my idea. So,
okay.
So I'll do yours first.
Gladly. Let's see. So, when I came up with this list, I was sort of thinking of areas that have, like, a lot of bottlenecks. And as you can see, the first one I came up with was, of course, the entrance to Tomorrowland. The second one that came to mind was this area up here between the Matterhorn and the Submarine Lagoon, because as you can see, the path from Small World Mall all the way down to Tomorrowland, right here, I should just zoom out all the way, as you can see here, it's almost just like a straight shot down to Tomorrowland, except for the lagoon. It's in the way, blocks out, takes up this huge amount of space where it really could just be like a straight shot down to Tomorrowland, but instead you got to go around the lagoon next to the Matterhorn, which I don't have a problem with. It's a really great walk. It's a really great view to see, especially with the lagoon, the submarines going, and with the roar of the Matterhorn behind you, or I guess vice versa, whichever way you're standing. But so my second business point, now that I'm in charge of the Walt Disney Company to improve congestion in the parks, is to either... Michael Eisner just said an interesting solution, which I didn't think of. My solution was to get rid of the Submarine Lagoon as a whole, just because it's a big waste of space. Some could argue it's not. Those fans of the Submarine Voyage, I'm not really a big fan of the Submarine Voyage, so I wouldn't really miss the lagoon. I'd miss the lagoon, but I wouldn't miss the ride. This is the tough part. I love the lagoon. I love the Submarine Lagoon. But it really is, especially when the line for the Matterhorn reaches all the way around up here. Especially like when it gets like almost looping the Matterhorn. It can get pretty congested. But Michael Eisner in chat just brought up, you could in theory build a bridge over it, but it'd have to be a high enough bridge to get over the submarines, or a high enough bridge to get over the tracks for the monorail, or I don't know how that would work, because I'm thinking I don't really see much of a benefit putting a bridge, because you'd have to make it in such a way where it'd have to go like slant up. Let me try and go 3D here.
No, but like, okay, think about it this way. What if you widened the walkway that was already there, but in such a way that it overhangs over the lagoon?
Okay. That can work. Because, let me see, the track for the submarines, okay, I guess that could work. Because there's a pretty big, I guess, like boundary or area right here for where the submarines don't, for where the submarines aren't in. So I guess you could widen it up to at least maybe like right here, all the way around, without having to completely get rid of the lagoon. I guess that's a good solution. Better, I get probably more cost efficient than getting rid of the entire lagoon. But a bridge would be really neat. I'm just like picturing the views you could get the Utopia track and of the Matterhorn if you have like a bridge just going straight across the lagoon into Tomorrowland. But yeah, I was saying, because like you'd have to angle the bridge in such a way where it goes over the lagoon, over the submarines right in this area, but then back underneath the monorail tracks. Unless you make it like right here. Yeah, I don't think a bridge would be a very viable solution unless you like alter the monorail tracks, which would be not a very good idea. But yeah, so that would be a really good idea, to just not necessarily get rid of the lagoon as a whole, but just sort of cut it off maybe here, because that'd still leave plenty. Gosh, that'd leave a lot of space for people to walk through. Maybe they can even add like a themed exterior queue for the Matterhorn, with all that extra space. I don't know, maybe, but yeah. So that's my second idea on how to ease congestion in the parks. And then my third one, so it's sort of almost already dealt with. Well, we talked about it just a couple minutes ago, is to widen the walkways in New Orleans Square. This one sort of ties into my fourth. I couldn't find a way to word this. My fourth point says no more parades / fireworks / Fantasmic. And we obviously know that. Is that what you put on? I feel like that's something you would have put on your list.
No.
Oh.
Because I love Fantasmic. And I love the fireworks.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because of course Disney's not going to cancel Fantasmic or the fireworks, because Fantasmic is an amazing show. Fireworks are awesome as well. The parades, I could do without the parades in Disneyland, honestly. But the one area when I think of congestion in Disneyland is the Pirates Bridge up here entering Adventureland. And, well, just honestly, just New Orleans Square as a whole, just because of all these planters right here. Like, you don't need those planters. Isn't it cool how you can go, like, 3D while, like, the trees and everything? Modern technology is amazing. But, and these sort of, like, concrete barriers right here, and they're already sort of, fixing that, like we talked about earlier in the episode. But yeah, so this is in my opinion, like the one most crowded area in the parks, because you guys know what I'm talking about. If you stay for the first showing of Fantasmic and then you try to exit the park right as that showing ends, while the fireworks are either about to start or the fireworks are already going, because you gotta go. I guess the fastest route would be to go through Adventureland, and then you'd end up on Main Street, while Main Street is already crowded as heck. Voice crack. Crowded as heck. Crowded as heck from the fireworks. And then they got to take you down the back alley path of Main Street, which is always, I guess, is fun depending on your point of view. But yeah, so this New Orleans Square as a whole could really use a big lift, I guess you could say is the word I'm looking for. Could use a big lift in regards to Fantasmic and the fireworks. And my last point was no more parades / fireworks / Fantasmic. That's sort of like not really my ideal solution, but they've sort of already gone the route, no more parades. Or when I say parades, I mean nighttime parades, because there is no current nighttime parade in Disneyland. They moved Paint the Night over to DCA, which it's much better in DCA in my opinion, because the walkways are so much wider, so much more area for people to sit and stand for the parades and to walk while the parades are going. But excuse me. And again, the fireworks are just, like I said, I love the fireworks. Fantasmic is amazing as well. I don't want those to go, but I feel like a really great way to improve congestion in the parks would be to maybe not get rid of them entirely, but maybe limit the days that they show on. Maybe have the fireworks show every other day, Phantasmic on the days the fireworks aren't showing. I don't know, just to ease up that crowd congestion, because like I said, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you try to exit the first showing of Phantasmic while the fireworks are either already going or about to start, because the fireworks can really take up at least up to the Emporium almost, is where people start standing for the fireworks. But yeah, so those are my ideas on how to improve congestion in the Disney parks, or in Disneyland. I guess there is a number 5. The number 5 would be to just not build Galaxy's Edge. I feel like that would be a good crowd control way to control crowds, just because Galaxy's Edge is going to draw in so many more people. But Alex, now it's time for your list.
Oh wow, that was a perfectly timed yawn. It happened like right as you asked me. Well, I want you to zoom in on New Orleans Square there. You can see the walkways. So Matt tells me, what was it, yesterday or today, that to think about ways to improve congestion at Disneyland. He tells me, think long and hard on this, take your time, spend a night considering it from all angles. And so, in the 2 minutes it took me to think about it, I remembered back when I was a cast member, and it was early morning, and I was walking through the park. And there was nobody there, the park hadn't opened yet, and I'm walking all throughout it. I'm walking through New Orleans Square, and I'm walking Main Street, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and the one thought I had when I was walking through these walkways was, God, Disneyland's walkways are huge. Like, you don't realize it when there's nobody there. I mean, when there's people there, you don't realize how big the walkways are. To you, they seem too small because there's so many people. But when the place is empty, I mean, you could run marathons in the walkways in Disneyland. You know, so look here at New Orleans Square. How much concrete there is there, just walking around. You know, like, it's like a good, like, from the edge of the river to Cafe Orleans is like a good 60 feet. I mean, it's, you know, it's humongous, and yet people are saying we need to widen the walkways. We need to widen the walkways. And so from that point on, in those 2 minutes it took me to consider how to improve Disneyland's congestion, I realized I didn't want to make more space in Disneyland, because Disneyland, in my opinion, has plenty of space. What I wanted to do was to figure out how to make less people in Disneyland. So, my thoughts, which you're probably all going to hate. Number 1, increase admission prices dramatically before the opening of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So Disney may increase their ticket prices by about $10, maybe $12, but I think they should increase them by $20 or $30. For one thing, Disneyland is a commodity that is hard to come by. You know, Disneyland's, you know, in a way is kind of like, you know, trying to buy like a precious gem, you know. There's not enough supply to handle the demand. And so I think that, you know, Disney needs to increase the prices a lot more to discourage more and more people from going in order to help it. And so with less people in the park, Disney's going to need to make up for it with higher prices because, of course, they still want to make the big bucks, but they don't want to lose the big bucks by having less people. So charge more for admission prices. I mean, like a lot more to help with that. So number 2, with Galaxy's Edge opening, they're going to increase the park size overall by 10 acres, mostly because 4 acres already belong to the park to begin with. So even though the land is 14 acres, they're really only adding 10 acres to the park. And Disney plans, most likely, to increase Disneyland's capacity capabilities. So right now, Disneyland's maximum capacity is set at 85,000 people, which they often meet the maximum capacity on what's it called? New Year's Eve. So Disney probably wants to increase that by another 5,000 when Galaxy's Edge opens. I mean, it only makes sense, right? I mean, they're adding a whole new land, an extra 10 acres to the park of space, and that space could be used to fit more people in. Well, here's the problem. The rest of the park is not designed to handle that many people. So while they kept making the park bigger and bigger, Main Street USA stayed the same size. While they made the park bigger and bigger, New Orleans Square's streets were still the same size. Tomorrowland stayed the same. Well, Tomorrowland's walkways stayed the same size. So as the park continues to add acreage, the older parts of the park continue to stay the same size. So it doesn't make sense to add more people to a park that cannot handle them to begin with. So my idea for number 2 was, instead of increasing the park's capacity when the new land opens, keep the capacity where it is currently. So it's currently at 85,000. Instead of increasing it to 90,000, keep it at 85,000 and never ever increase it again. This would help so that way in the future we can prevent Main Street USA from being more clogged than it currently is at its worst. So number 3, impose a limit on the amount of annual pass holders the resort has. So I remember a couple years ago, Disneyland Resort was so proud because they passed their 1 millionth annual pass holder mark. That meant that 1 million people had an annual pass to Disneyland Resort. Wow. 1 million people. That's a lot of people. I mean, maybe not to you guys, but to me it is. That's a lot of people. I mean, just imagine it.
That's a lot
Back
of
when they
damage.
first introduced annual passes, they were saying, oh, now you can go to special events and special things that we do because you're an annual pass holder. Well, 1 million people later, you can't fit 1 million people into Disneyland during a special event because the park's capacity is only 85,000. So what do you do when there's a special event happening at Disneyland, but you can only fit 85,000 of your annual pass holders? Well, the next thing was to spread it over the course of a couple days. Nevertheless, they could never spread the event over enough days to accommodate all their pass holders. So in the end, you still have pass holders that don't have the ability to go to special events because the park is simply too crowded for them to even enter. So yeah, it's great that Disneyland has 1 million pass holders, but they can't keep up with, presenting special events or special products to those pass holders when there's over 1 million of them. So I say that they should impose a limit of a maximum of 2 million people as an annual pass holder to Disneyland. Because I'm also taking into account the people that probably don't take advantage of their annual pass. I know people that they get an annual pass every year, but they really only visit twice a year. So it's like they don't really use their annual pass. So anyway, I impose a limit of 2 million people as a maximum for annual pass holders. which is still way more than what Disney can even handle anyway. And lastly, number 4, build a third park. Because putting another park in there will help draw crowds away from Disneyland and to the other park. Once again, Disney claims that this was the whole idea with DCA anyway. Oh, we're going to make DCA better so that way it'll draw crowds away from Disneyland. But that's secretly not what they were doing. Because what happens when you take people away from Disneyland? Well, Disneyland earns less money. And the other park earns more money, but Disneyland earns less money. And, of course, the shareholders are going to say, well, why not make more money by making both parks busy? So, technically, it was never even planned for Disneyland's capacity to go down. It was always just to keep increasing the capacity of both parks. And that's still the plan to this day. Keep adding more people and stuffing them into Disneyland. I mean, honestly, do you really think that when Galaxy's Edge opens that the Haunted Mansion's line is going to be less than 2 hours? No, it's probably going to be more. It's going to get longer. Pirates of the Caribbean is going to be a longer wait. Everything is going to be a longer wait unless they put a limit and keep that limit on the park's capacity. So anyway, folks, now I'm going to look back on the chat and see what people have said. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, that's my ideas.
For some reason, it looks like my eyes are cross-eyed. I think we're good.
That's because they are.
They probably are. I just don't notice it. But those are very interesting points that Alex has brought up. I was paying attention to the chat, seeing what they were saying. Bryce is certainly very against Alex's thought process on this. I don't see a big problem with okay. When you said that there are a million, I think you said a million annual pass holders, that I feel like that is way too many people to have an annual pass, because like you said, Disneyland can't even fit 1 million people in the parks, or in both DCA and in Disneyland. So it's kind of weird that they've sold that many, even though they can't fit that many people in the parks. But then again, it's all about the money to them. But
yeah.
But
Bryce McKenzie, he brings up a good point that a lot of people think. They think that when you increase the park's ticket prices, that you're only making things better for the super rich. To an extent, you're right. I mean, truly, the only people that can afford that are people who can afford that. But what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to lower the ticket price of the park? Then what happens? Then you get 1 million people showing up at the front gates, and then they're told to leave because, oh, sorry you drove all the way down from Idaho, to visit Disneyland, but because the price of the park is only $60, we've had so many people come to the park, and now they can't enter. So the best way to do that is to outprice people, because then what happens is less people show up to the front gates expecting to go in. I'm sorry, but that's really how you do business. That's the only way you can decrease the demand. I mean, that's basic economics, supply and demand. If you don't have enough supply to meet your demand, you raise your prices so that way there is less demand and more supply. So, Disneyland can really only hold so many people. And I've been at the park, on days when they've reached their maximum capacity and they've had to turn people away. And people said, look, I have a, at the time it was like $90 to get into the park, but they were like, look, I have $90 to spend, just let me in. And we've had to tell them, I'm sorry, but even though you drove all the way from Arizona, the park is full. Like there's no way we can let you in. There was just no way. And so if that person was priced out of the game, then they would have never had to spend their time traveling all the way from Arizona, to get into the park when they couldn't get in. So, and the thing is you can't guarantee people to get into the park. I mean, this was Disneyland's idea. A long time ago, some Disney executives came up with the idea of, what if we have people RSVP to get into the park? That way, people are guaranteed to get in, and those who are not guaranteed never have to waste their time driving all the way down. Mm-hmm. Well, the problem is that people don't always show up to their RSVP. And what happens on a day when, 85,000 people RSVP, but then only 60,000 show up? Then the park loses money. So honestly, there really is no way to make sure everybody who has the money can get into the park. The only way you can do it is to outprice people. And I'm sorry, that sucks. I mean, look at me right now. I don't have an annual pass right now. Why? Because I can't afford one. I would love to go to Disneyland, but I can't argue with the fact that the park is already overcrowded as it is. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I don't blame them for raising their prices like crazy. It's because there's so many people pounding at those gates trying to get in.
Yeah. I agree. I feel like Mateo said somewhere above in chat that it's a never-ending cycle. And there really is no one solution on how to fix this. I mean, I guess the most ideal solution would be to just make Disneyland bigger, or like Alex said, build a third park. But that's not really, I guess that's like not really viable at the moment. I don't feel like Disney would want to spend that much money to build a third park just to, what am I trying to say? Just to decrease the capacity in Disneyland Park. But so yeah, there aren't a lot of viable solutions to this predicament we're in. I feel like raising the prices would probably decrease the amount of people that come. But gosh, yeah, it really. Like I said.
Well, I mean, I never said, hey, let's increase the park's, price by $100 by the time, Star Wars Land opens. I said at most like $30. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, increasing the park's admission ticket price by $30 helps a lot to keep people from, pounding at those gates.
Mm. It's weird because $30 doesn't sound like a lot to me. But I guess I can see it if you have like a party of 4, and that $30, 30 times 4, in addition to the original ticket prices, would still add up to a lot more. But Mateo says people would still pay it. People would still pay for it. That's why we said there really is no golden solution to this, just because there are still people willing to pay that $30 extra, that even $100 extra. People would still pay that extra amount of money to get into the parks because it is Disneyland. But yeah,
and you know what's amazing to me? I recently learned that Universal Studios cost more than Disneyland.
Wait, you said Hollywood Studios?
No, Universal Studios
cost more than Disneyland?
Yeah, to get in.
Oh, to get in. I thought you meant to build. Okay.
No,
to
get in. No, to get in, it costs, their admission prices are just slightly more than Disneyland. Nevertheless, that's more than Disneyland. That's amazing. I always thought it was $20 less at least, but it's more than Disneyland, and that's amazing to me. But yeah.
Price says everyone has the right to pay and to visit, not just the rich or super rich, and don't say you'll have a coupon day. Well, see, the thing is, you can just wait an extra year to save up the amount of money to go to the parks. I mean, if say you're in like a family of like 4, and your parents and let's say Disney raises the prices by like 30, like Alex said, $30 ish, and your parents say, we can't afford to go to Disneyland this year. We'll keep saving, so we'll be able to go next year. I feel like a lot of people would be fine with that. I don't know, but yeah, you can just always just wait a couple years, because you don't have to go to Disneyland, guys. You can wait a year until you don't until you don't put yourself in debt just to go, but yeah, people would still pay that amount of price, but I mean, you can always just, like I said, wait a couple years, save up the correct amount of money you want, and then take the trip. I feel like, yeah, that's my stance on that. But let's see. Yeah,
it's I mean, I feel bad for saying it. I feel bad for saying that, oh, they should raise the prices more, but I mean, honestly, that's just business. That's how you make things. Like, Bryce McKenzie is saying, like, oh, well, keep the prices where they are. Well, here's the problem. With the prices where they are now, you still have like a ton of people that are hoping to get in, but then are turned away at the gates. It's like Disneyland does not have the ability to hold that many people every day. Like, you're having people being turned away. It's just like, what do you do? I mean, they can't just keep the prices where they are.
Yeah. Bryce said that was a Jurassic Park joke. Went right over my head.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, well, he didn't say it exactly like they did in Jurassic Park, but he was saying that, yeah, I did recognize it, because especially when he said, don't say coupon day. So.
And don't say, yeah, I don't, it's been a while since I've seen that movie. But, anyways, bring back ticket booths, Sam says. Once people run out of tickets, they leave. I wonder if that would be, probably not, right? Because you just buy more tickets, right? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, because imagine if you had to pay for every time you rode Haunted Mansion, like, maybe you wouldn't want to ride it that much. I don't know.
That's true. So Mateo says, but with ticket books, people can still come in anyway. That's true. They can still come in and just not buy any other tickets to go along, just to, like, just like sit around in the park and lounge. So I guess But that's the other problem. Is, let's just say you forced people back into buying tickets, and then you left the admission at whatever. Let's just say they kept the admission price, right, at where it is, and then just introduced tickets along with that. Then you'd still have the problem of, oh, well, people, a ton of people can go into the park, but now the park's capacity is reached, and people who actually intend to go on rides can't get in. They still have a maximum capacity because of the fire rules with fire protection and stuff like that. There's a maximum capacity the park can hold, and so yeah. So, and the tickets, even when you think about it. I mean, most people nowadays only have enough time to get on one. What am I trying to say? Most people nowadays are only able to go once per ride. So like every time I go to the parks with my family, and it's one of those, oh, like, let's rush to every ride kind of thing. It's like, well, we only have time to go on Haunted Mansion once. We only have time to go on Pirates once. We only have time to go on Star Tours once. So ticket books wouldn't really matter anyway, because people wouldn't have the time to wait in line to go on, Star Tours multiple times per day. Yeah. Well, we can talk about this especially with you guys in chat, all these converging opinions. We could go on for a while about this. So let's leave it at that. because we do have, like I said, a pretty lengthy late night tinkle. I don't feel comfortable saying late night tinkle. We do have.
I don't feel comfortable saying it either.
Yeah, we need to come up with a better name, guys. Late night tinkles. It's funny. We can maybe subtitle it late night tinkles, but we need an official name for this. So, okay, I think it's time for us to move away from this topic. You guys can definitely talk more about this in the comments down below if you guys would feel like you would want to do that. But yeah, we do have a very lengthy spooky story. This will be a 3-parter, like I said. Chapter 3 isn't as long as the other 2, but I hope Andrew, I hope you left each chapter on a good cliffhanger to keep people anticipating the next episode. So we'll see. How about Spoopy Pants, Poopy Scary Stories? That's a good one. But I liked Matt Hosts Ghosts. That's a. I'm gonna screenshot that one, because that's a good one.
Matt Hosts.
If it will save, there we go. All right, it's time for, I guess, Matt Hosts Ghosts. That's like a tongue twister almost. Matt's host.
What about a swinging wake?
A swinging wake. That's another good one. I'm gonna type that in the stream in my notes. Okay. Matt Hosts Ghosts. A swinging wake. And then just the subtitle will be Late Night Tinkles. Yeah. So this story is by Andrew, who may or may not be in chat right now, disguised as Michael Eisner. We don't know, but let's get right into it, because, like I said, this is a 3-paragraph chapter. Yeah. So. Okay, I'm gonna try my best to not mispronounce things, not mispronounce words, so we can get into this. All right. Okay, here we go. Chapter 1. The Dawn. Okay. I can feel a burp coming. I don't want to start. Okay, it passed. All right. Chapter 1. The Dawn. This is The Crimson Wolf, a scary story by Andrew. What day is it? Sam questioned as he fumbled through his paper calendar. He saw the date clearly outlined with a bright red circle around it. It read January 20th, 1978. It was a Friday, and Sam still had trouble remembering it was 1978 because of it being the new year. Wow, said Sam. I can't believe we're in 1978 now. He was excited. Today was his annual hunting trip that he always took with his 2 good friends, Ryan and Kyle. He had known them since the 6th grade at the age of 27, and at the age of 27, and well out of college, Sam was still hanging out with them. They were both funny in their own way. Ryan enjoyed a prank every now and then, and Kyle loved to tease, in a fun way, of course. Both never intended to cause harm with their jokes, and they never did. Sam was still more serious, but could still pull a few jokes here or there. Overall, the trio always had a swell time whenever they were together. Sam was a construction manager for some big company he half the time forgot the name of. He had to grind through the workday to get to his hunting trip. It was all going to be worth it. This isn't me mispronouncing this. It will all be worth it, though. It was spelled right. I apologize. Sam proclaimed to himself as a sort of goal to reach his work's end. 2 o'clock turned to 3, then 4, and it finally struck 5. With a small wave and smile on Sam's face, he was free from his work, and now instead of picking up lumber, he would be reaching for his hunting rifle. Sam strode to his car, got in, and drove back home for supplies. Soon Kyle arrived, arms full of food, clothing, and ammo. Then Ryan drove up and shouted, It's gonna be a good one this year. They were all joyous, just overflowing with excitement at the thought of the retreat from the oh my god, this is a big word. Monotromous. I think it might be, I'm just gonna say monstrous. I don't know, guys. Way of life they had all been accustomed to. Sam felt peace in his mind. This time the retreat felt different. Something seemed just a little bit more calm about the whole adventure. He packed his things and was loading his rifle when he shouted to his brother, "I'm leaving, Andrew. Are you sure you don't want to come with us?" Andrew strolled in, a book in hand, and exclaimed, "I'm already having fun. You guys go on and enjoy yourself." Sam nodded towards the book. "That's what you call fun?" Sam always liked to joke around with his brother. Andrew was 17, adopted into his family about 5 years ago. Sam picked up his rifle, stood up, and hugged his brother. As Sam was walking out, Andrew jokingly warned him, saying, "Don't let him get you." The him was the creature known as the Crimson Wolf. He was an urban legend, so to speak, scary tales and whispers that had been passed down from kid to kid over the years. His fur was jet black and his teeth were a stunning white. The Crimson Wolf had a foul stench, a sort of musty, rotted smell that seemed to have been around for a long time. It was said to be twice the size of a large wolf and had claws longer than someone's finger. His eyes were his most distinct feature, though. They were what got him his name. They were crimson. His eyes would illuminate his prey and anything else in his path. Children talked about how that was the last thing you would see of how that was the last thing you would ever see of this world, his glowing crimson eyes. When Sam and Andrew were younger, they had heard the story from other kids. They would talk about this wolf while on their camping trips in the California redwoods. Sam was heading there now, and he brushed it off and laughed at the playful joke. As he closed the door and walked outside of his house, he knew that this trip would be the beginning of a new dawn. That's the end of chapter 1. All right. I can't tell if this is going to be another joke at the end. I don't want to read into chapter 2 just because I don't want to spoil it for me, but so far this is pretty good, Andrew. I might have butchered a few words here or there, and I apologize. But yeah, we'll get into chapter 2 next week, and then chapter 3 will be the week after that. So stay tuned, because this sounds like a really interesting... Sam says it ain't a joke. He read it. Thank you, Sam, for reading it ahead of time. But anyways, Matt the Word Butcher, the scariest story. That is true, Mateo. That is very true. Okay. So Sam already knows the end, I guess, if he read the whole thing. I don't know if he skimmed it or not, but don't spoil it, Sam. If you do, you will be banned from my channel and from the Discord. So, yeah, thank you, Andrew, for sending this in. If you guys would like to send in your own spooky stories, you can email them to me at ytmatterhornmatt@gmail.com, or you can send them to me on Discord or on Twitter. Excuse me. It's almost Halloween season, guys. That would be... We could get some really spooky stories sent in, hopefully, from you guys during Halloween season.
You guys, yeah. I would really love it if somebody would actually go through the trouble to write a short story, a short scary story, but like all the words have to be more than like 3 or 4 syllables long.
Oh my gosh.
so we're gonna have Matt read it.
That would be the ultimate torture. I would do my best. I'd have to read it ahead of time like 5 times just to make sure I pronounce everything right. But oh goodness. So yeah, you guys definitely find some spooky stories to send in. They don't have to be your own. I guess we'd prefer it to be like your own personal spooky story, something that happened to you, you know, like paranormal or just like something creepy that happened. But again, I don't want to be sent like creepypastas from 2014. You guys know what I mean. I prefer it to be like your own creation, your own writing, your own craft, I guess you could say. But yeah, so I think that's gonna wrap up this episode of Matterhorn Mondays. I feel my eyes, they're like really drooping right now. It's not like they're drooping, they're like really dry. I need to buy some eye drops, but gosh, these allergies. Thank you all for watching this episode 54 of Matterhorn Mondays. We hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to leave a like. Smash that like button. click that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I guess that's what all the YouTubers say. But yeah, if you did enjoy this episode, be sure to comment down below your thoughts on everything we talked about. I really want to hear your guys' thoughts on how to improve congestion in Disneyland, because like I said, we could really go on for a long time about that, especially if we had like Jeremy in here as well, or maybe Chris too. I feel like he'd have some strong opinions on how to improve the walkways at Disneyland. But yeah, comment down below your thoughts on all the things we talked about, and yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you all for watching, and as always, have a great big beautiful tomorrow.